This is Shirleen, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Southern Gal's Kitchen. We're going to make granola two ways today. We're going to do chocolate granola and then one that's more traditional. I love both of them. And I like to keep granola around. When I make my granola, I control what goes in it, especially the sugar. So hang on and come back and join us in just a minute. To make this recipe, it's really, really simple. I've got my oven preheated to 250. You want a really low oven, and then I've got my sheet pan with a silicone mat on it. You can use parchment though, it works just as well, no problem. And my ingredients out here, I have rolled oats. Now you want old-fashioned rolled oats to make granola. You don't want those instant oats. I have a cup of slivered almonds, and those two are kind of my dry, what I call dry ingredients. The wet ones we're going to mix up here together. We have 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. Now if you watch my shows, you know I mix up half cane sugar and half artificial sweetener, and then I mix them up really well, and I keep that mixed up, and then I just spoon it out and use it. So this is my mixture, half sugar. That cuts your sugar 50%. I don't like all sweetener generally, but I like it cutting about half. I'll find that works really well for most recipes. I do it all the time. And then we have 3 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa or cacao. I like to use cacao. Whatever you have is okay. 1/4 cup of real maple syrup. You want real maple syrup for this. At least I like real maple syrup in mine. That's all I buy. Be sure you keep it in the refrigerator, maple syrup, after it's open, because it will mold on you if you don't. We're going to have 2 tablespoons of melted and cooled coconut oil. You do want it melted and cooled. 3/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We have 3/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm going to mix these up. In fact, I'm going to use a whisk, because it will mix up better with the whisk in it than it will without it. Just whisk them together until they're really blended. You want to blend it up. That's why you want coconut oil melted, because otherwise it's not going to blend up in there at all. It's be kind of clunky. You just mix that up, and that's kind of your base for your chocolate granola. This stuff is so good. I love to eat it in the morning with yogurt. I buy the fat-free yogurt, and I keep it on hand, and I'll sweeten it with a little bit of sweetener, artificial sweetener, and I'll put just a little bit of my chocolate granola on there. Oh, it's good. You can do different kinds of things in it. Now I'm going to add a cup of slivered almonds. Added a cup of slivered almonds. You could add pecans if you don't like almonds. I like the almonds with the chocolate myself, but you can use pecans, walnuts, whatever kind of nut you want in there. And I'm going to put in 2 cups of the rolled oats. We're just going to mix these up. You can add like a 1/4 cup of ground flax seed. You know, flax seed, a lot of people add them in. I see them just add them in the whole seed. Your body won't digest those. You need to grind it up first. So if you want to add some flax or wheat germ or anything like that, make sure it's in a ground form. Wheat germ's already ground up, but flax is not. Well, even wheat germ, I might blend it just a little. Your body can just absorb it better. In regular granola, I'm going to make that in a little bit. You know, you can add all kinds of nuts and seeds, and we'll add some different things to it. But for this one, I kind of like it just, again, my chocolate and my almonds. It's just my preference on it, I guess. And it makes a wonderful, wonderful little snack, or put it on your yogurt. Sometimes even in the afternoon, if I get hungry, I'll get just a little bit of my yogurt and put some of this on it. It just makes a wonderful snack. You want this really mixed well before you put it on your pan, because it is what it is. Once it goes in the oven, you can't change it. We're going to bake it on that 250 about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to take a fork, spatula, something, and kind of stir it around, turn it over, and stir it around, and then about 30 more minutes. Just watch it. It might even take up to an hour. Just want it really dry. So just watch it, and I found an extra 30 minutes generally will do it, but if it doesn't, just leave it a little longer. and keep your eye on it. You don't want it to burn. One time I burned some granola and I throw it away. It will burn on you and it will not be good. So do watch it. Don't go off and leave it. You know, most of us have our phones now with timers on them. So I'll just set my phone, if I've got it with me most of the time, and I'll have my timer on there, and so I don't have to worry about things burning as much. If you're like me, you go off and do something else, you get busy and forget about it. So again, we're going to spread this out. I'm going to bake it 30 minutes, and then I'll come in there in 30 minutes. I'll just fluff it around a little bit, turn it over, cook it some more. This stuff is so good. So I'll keep it made up pretty much all the time. When I run out, I'll make some more. We'll be back in a little bit. We are now ready to make our second granola, and that is going to be our coconut blueberry granola. It's really good. Let me tell you the ingredients. It's, again, wet, dry stuff, and then you're wet and you mix them together. But it's 3 cups of rolled oats, 1 cup of pecans, chopped pecans, and I did toast them just barely, but they're going to toast some in the oven, so you don't need to worry with that too much. I have about a cup and a fourth of pumpkin seeds. These are raw, shelled. I did toast them because they tend to be pretty green if you don't, so I did toast them. When you're toasting nuts, I toast them in my skillet on the stove. You can do it in the oven. But really watch them. If you go off and leave them, they're going to burn on you so quickly. You have to, I like the stove, I just keep stirring them around until they get, when they smell like they're toasted. Pumpkin seeds won't smell as much, but they'll get just a little bit of a, I can't see that, but a little bit of a golden color, but not too much. Again, you don't want to overdo it. They'll bake some in the oven. And then we have 3/4 cup of just sweetened coconut. And we have, for the wet, we have 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. I'm going to put that in the bowl. And then we have 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now I use, again, if you watch my shows, you know that. I use half sugar and half sweetener, and I keep it mixed up in a container, and then I just measure out what I want. This is the brown. I used half brown sweetener and half brown sugar. Whatever sweetener you like. I've got a brand that I like, but you can use whatever you like. I have 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil, and it does need to be melted. And you're just going to stir these together, really. And I've got 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Put that out there. You mix those up, and then you're going to mix your dry ingredients, and then we're going to add them together. Get this mixed up pretty well. Just kind of stir it around until that oil kind of blends in with that sugar. Now we're going to put blueberries in here, but I'm going to talk about those. The blueberries, I dehydrate blueberries all the time. If you use a dehydrated blueberry, like I don't dry mine all the time completely. I dry them part way, and then I keep them in the freezer in a bag. Take out what I want. These are not dried. These are still, they're dried, but they're still soft. These blueberries, I had a quart that I had dried. These are like really dry. You can use those in your granola. You don't want to put in some that are too wet, because granola sits around too long. It might mold on you. If they're super dry, you can use them. And you can also use a freeze-dried granola, freeze-dried blueberry. These freeze-dried, I buy them already freeze-dried. You know, they're kind of crunchy, but they won't mold on you. They're good too. They're crunchy, but they're good. Freeze-dried, you can use those. But I do my granola and I cook it, and I add these last. And the reason for that is these can get too dried out in the oven. You could add them the last 15-20 minutes, but not for the entire baking. Once these are mixed up, we'll spread them out on a sheet pan with parchment, and then we'll bake them on a 200-degree oven. After 30 minutes, I'll stir them around and check them, but I'll cook them 15 to 30 more minutes, usually 30, but I'll keep stirring them every now and then, just to make sure when they get kind of crunchy and dry, then you take it out and let it cool and it's done. We'll just add all these. This is such an easy recipe. It doesn't take any time to make your homemade granola. You know what's in it. You can put in it what you want. The thing I like about the pumpkin seeds in here, one, I like the taste of them toasted in there, but they also add a lot of nutrition. You can have walnuts, which are high in omega-3. Your oats obviously have some protein and lots of vitamins. A lot of times when you buy granola, it's just so sugary and so sweet, pretty high in carbs too. I'm not as happy with it. One, it's just too carby, and it doesn't have as much of the good stuff that I really want in there. You can do raisins, cranberries, currants, whatever you want, any kind of dried fruit. You could use dried pineapple, and that would be fine too. Then you'll just mix these up, and once they're mixed, like I said, we'll spread them out. We're gonna bake them 200 degrees, preheated oven, 30 minutes. Check them, stir them. 15 minutes more, check them, stir them, and then if they need 15 more, go ahead and do that. That slow oven keeps them from burning. I've seen recipes, and I've actually done it a long time ago. I learned my lesson. Bake them in a 350 oven, and most of the time you're going to have burnt granola because that stuff will start burning on you so fast. The slow, low 200 degree oven is really the only way to make any granola. So keep that in mind too. And you need that oil in there to help coat everything and make it kind of makes it crispy when it bakes too a little bit, dries it out. Mix it up really well though. Get it really mixed. You want all those oats and nuts and everything in there coated with some of that oil and some of that sugar mixture. Spread them out on our pan, and we'll be ready to bake. Very simple. It takes no time to make it. You can make up a chocolate and a blueberry or whatever flavor you want on the weekend, and unless you've got a really big family eating a lot of it. Around here it lasts a couple of weeks, but with two kinds especially, and sometimes even with one kind. I don't eat it every day, but I love yogurt, unsweetened yogurt with a little stevia. And then I will put some of my granola on top of that. It's my favorite way to eat it is with yogurt in the morning for breakfast. It's a good hearty breakfast. And I don't overeat too much of the granola. I just sprinkle some on there. Just spread that out. It's good to go. Looks good. Bakes up, it's going to be awesome. Like I said, I'm going to hold off on the blueberries. I might put them in the last just a little bit. But I guess if these, since they're a little soft, if you put them in the oven, they probably would go ahead and dry out. But if you've got any kind of wet fruit that's not completely dry, you've got the chance of things molded. I would use the freeze dried, or make sure you got some really dry ones that you did yourself, or you bought. You can buy them dry as long as they're really good and dry. That'd be all right. Just add them last. We'll come back when that gets done. Both of them are done. Here's the chocolate granola. Just wonderful. It is wonderful, that chocolate, the crunch from the oats and the putting the coconut oil in there, and it's just an amazing granola. You got to try it. And this blueberry oatmeal made a giant big bowl. It's a little bigger serving. This made quite a bit. I will give some of these to a friend, both of these, and then we'll have some here to eat. But doesn't that look good? It is amazing. You're going to love it. Try them both and let me know what you think.